Hello, I am going to talk to you today about my song, You Would Have Loved This Song. It's the opening track off Parting Ways, and it's one of my faves. In fact, I think since I've written it, I don't think I've done a gig where I haven't played it. But I'm going to talk a bit about how I wrote it. I wrote it, like I say, it's on the album Parting Ways, and it's about my best friend Lee, who passed away. All the songs on that record are about grief and friendship in some form or another, and I kind of wanted to write a song that was very specifically a song he'd have really liked. One of the things that we used to do was when I would finish a song, I would always record a really terrible demo on my phone, and I would send it to him, and he would always have good ideas. So this song is kind of about that. One of the things that was really difficult in making this record was to decide how specific at any one point I was going to be. So for example, this song could be read as, for example, like a lover who has left. You know, it could be read in that way. I never kind of am specific with gender pronouns in this particular song, right? So I wanted to make it so that it was slightly more nebulous than being so specifically about us. But when I'm performing it, that specificity I think really, really helps. So that was kind of one of the ideas of the song, and then also I had been doing some work with a charity called Swan Song, who are this amazing charity run by my friend Ben, and they do this thing where they pair up a songwriter with somebody who is kind of in end-of-life care, or someone who is with someone who's in end-of-life care. And basically, the songwriter and this person, this sort of terminally ill person, write a song that is then like a gift to the person that they're going to leave behind. Okay, so I wrote one, for example, and I received these wonderful lyrics from this woman who was going through grief because her father had passed away, and there were these lyrics that were all about his relationship with his garden, and also in kind of emails that we had together, she'd said that she really liked some specific musical things. There was like some Marillion and this, that and the other. So I kind of tried to write this song essentially for her to give voice to her feelings. And I finished it, and it was great fun, and she loved it. And it kind of was really weirdly inspiring to write a song that was so just for one person. Like, I think one thing you try and do as a songwriter is write a song that everyone's going to love, right? But I kind of was quite excited about the idea of writing a song for just one person. So all the music in this song was stuff I know Lee would have loved, right? Lee had really old-fashioned tastes. I do too. And occasionally I sort of try and contemporize some of the songs that I write with production or something like that. But that was not the case with this song. I wanted to write a song that just he would like. And I know that he had particular harmonic kinks that he really digged, okay? I'll also mention, to give us a little bit of context, that I wrote this song in the back of my camper van in Filey, which is glamorous, right? I went for a run on the beach. I went a night on my own, and I went for a run on the beach. I got showered, and then I set up the piano, this very piano in fact, in the back of the camper van, and it was like a bit of an angle because the camper van's not very big. It's like a Ford Fiesta with a bed in it. It's not very big. So I wrote it all in the back of the camper van and had this lovely time. And one of my main memories of it was I'd written the first two stanzas, and then I'd gone, right, well that's enough of that. That's fine, well done mate. I'll go and get some tea, whatever. And then the next morning I woke up and the whole last section just went blah, 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 just fell, as often happens if you've done quite a lot of work on a song. And I sat on the front at Filey Beach on a bench, and the tide was in, and it was a gorgeous morning, and it was like 6 in the morning, and I just sat and scribbled it all down in pencil. In fact, here I did it there. It's right there. You can't read that. You can't read that. Yeah, and it was kind of done, and I recorded a fairly terrible demo of it, but that's, and then I should add, didn't send it to Lee. But yeah, so that's where I was when I wrote it. The first thing that came to me in this song was the piano riff, right? This. That riff, right? Now originally when I wrote it, that was going to have a melody. I mean, obviously it has got a melody. I mean, I was going to sing that melody, so it would be like, I didn't write any words, but like, got a new car, got a new house, got a new place to call my own, or whatever, you know. But then I was sort of thinking about piano riffs, and there aren't many, right? There's loads of guitar riffs, like you hear Smoke on the Water, bang, Day Tripper, bang. Like, there's not many piano ones. There's a few, but I kind of was like, oh, well, I should give the piano its own melody. And as soon as I start singing it, it kind of almost becomes subordinate to the vocal melody. So in the end, I kind of went, well, I should have that be its own melody. Now the melody itself, has got in some pretty old-fashioned chords. So we're in G. I'm going to get technical here, but we're not afraid, are we? We're in G, and the second chord is this chord, which is a D minor 7. So that's a minor 5. I am a sucker for a minor 5, right? Usually a chord 5, so when I say a 5, what I mean is this: G, A, B, C, D. There's 5, and instead of it being a major chord, I make it a minor chord, right? And it is sad. Oh, yeah? If I didn't make it minor, it'd sound like this. Which is a lot happier, right? So yeah, I love a minor 5. It's used in lots of famous songs. It's in the James Bond thing, the da 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 da. That's a minor 5. There's a great Beach Boys song. That's Why God Made the Radio. That's a 1 to a minor 5. And so minor 5s are pretty old-fashioned. They've got this kind of Jimmy Webb thing. Another thing that's got a bit of a Jimmy Webb thing is a 4 that's a major 9. So a 4, G, A, B, C, is a C chord, and instead of it just being a plain old C chord, I put a major 9 on it, which means I put in a 7 and a 2, right? You can do the alley on yourself. So you get this sound, which is really melancholy. So we get this. There's that chord there. And we get this dissonance, so that at the bottom we've got the C and at the top we've got the B, but then we fill it in. Oh, yeah. So I got that riff and I knew I was fully on digging it. I found, and I'll play it for you, I found a voice note from the first time I was recording this song. The first time I was playing around with those chords, before I even had a melody. Is it this? I don't know if you can hear that. I'm going to put it closer. That's just sort of, my phone is filled with those, right? It took me a long time to find. So originally I didn't kind of put together this idea for the lyrics of the song with necessarily that riff. Oh, I'm recording something new, exciting. And then, once I had that bit, I then knew that I would have a second section, and that this is when I fell in love with the song. Because it's one of those rare moments where the lyric and the music just come together at exactly the same time. And I had that. You talk about the chords and how this kind of harmony. And I say harmony on like the weirdest harmonic shift in the song, right? It's kind of clever business that Lee would have digged. He would have dugged it. Digged it? Dugged it. He would have dug it. So once I had that chord, so we're in G, that is like a G diminished add 9 over F. Hi. Alright, so yesterday I filmed the video that you're watching right now. And then when I was starting to put it together and whatnot, I noticed that I had called the second chord, and you would have loved this song, a G diminished add 9 over F. You're not going to believe this. It's a G augmented add 9 over F. And I feel like a right fool. And in a world where inaccuracy and false reporting is rife, I felt it only fair
to jump into your scheduled broadcast to let you know that it is a G diminished, sorry, I've done it again. It's a G augmented add 9 over F. So that's an augmented chord is when you raise the fifth. So G, B, D, the D becomes a D sharp. The add 9 is an A, and we got an F on the bottom. There you go. I now return you to your scheduled broadcast.
It's got loads of spice in it, right? Oh, it's salty, right? Then I just go to the 6, and then because I've used a mixolydian in that spicy chord, i.e. a flattened 7, i.e. an F natural, I then, as I often do, try and counter that spice, like if you like, counter the sugariness of that with the kind of savouriness of Lydian, which is a raised 4. I'm losing some people here, I know. It's okay, it's fine, it's fine. And then that led me to the it's worth singing because you would have loved this song. And then we resolve it there, and there's this big, like, breath out when I give the riff again. And then the last section, so this is my songwriting book here with all the scribbles in, and I can tell that this song went pretty well because it's only 1 page. When I get into 3 or 4 pages, it's because I'm really banging my head against the wall. But I had a good, strong concept for this one, and it kind of came relatively quickly, unlike the one on the next page, which will never see the light of day. But yes, and then the last section, something I do quite a lot on this record, and I don't know where I learned to do it, but I must have learned it relatively recently. But the last one, a song like this could do with all the help that it can find. Just 'cause you won't hear it doesn't mean that I should give up trying. So it's worth sitting on that chord. I don't do it in any of the other verses, but I really wanted to give space to that lyric because I think it is the kind of essay point of that song, if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever. Just because you won't hear it doesn't mean that I should give up trying. Yeah, which kind of feels like a mission statement about writing not just that song but all songs, you know. So yeah, I kind of add beats to that. It's the kind of thing I've played this with the band a couple of times, and they kind of roll their eyes because it's like, oh, so just 1 bar of 2 in the whole song. But I think it makes a big story difference. So yes, that was kind of the piano and vocal elements of it. I know that for me, there are bits that something I try and do in when I'm writing songs is if I can put in images that help me find the emotion of it more purely, more strongly, I don't know. Then when I'm on stage, I can use that imagery and get myself there, which means I can usually get an audience there, or at least I hope to. And I know how it's perfect for a Sunday morning stroll to get a coffee. I know exactly where Lee is when he's doing that in my head. Because I remember him calling me once, and he told me that he was there. So I've got this, that's a really clear thing that hooks me back into the song. Also, it's a song about loving songs, and I love songs. It's a love song about loving songs, right? Which I thought was kind of cool. In terms of recording it, as many of you may or may not know, Parting Ways is the first record I produced entirely myself. I had lots of help with mix and things like that, but in terms of just making the musical decisions, I did all of them. And I had a recording of this that I was really, really pleased with. And then I did a gig at a Porto, it's this amazing gig called Hootenanny, where I just rock up and there's a band. And we don't rehearse, I just send chord sheets and we just do a sound check and then just go. And at this gig, I met a gentleman called Matt Sim. Matt is a dobro player, and he blew my mind that night. We did a version of My Life by Billy Joel, which is a song that has absolutely no place to have dobro in it, which I've got a video of, which I'll show you a bit of right now. cool, right? Anyway, Matt was the one there that was kind of down on the right playing the sliding thing. That's what a dobro is. And also that night we played "You Would Love This Song," and he said during sound check, like almost took me to one side and said, "I just adore that song. I just love it." And I was like, "Oh, do you want to maybe do some recording?" And so I kind of thought I'd finished that song, and then he sent through the dobro part, which is the one that is on the record, and I was like, oh, I loved it. I loved it. So I then kind of remixed the whole thing to kind of put that at the centre. Originally there was a mellotron that was kind of doing this. A mellotron is kind of like a very sort of 70s sounding, vintagey, fluty type keyboard sound. And I did dig it, and it is still there on the record, kind of, but it's just buried because the dobro, I just went, right, enjoy. Yeah, that was it. And that's the song. As to why it started, because then on parting ways I had to make some decisions about what order I was going to put the tracks in, which incidentally was really difficult. And I never intended for this song to be the first song on the record. But in the end it was, it just felt tonally like it was the right choice. But yeah. Also, weird for me, there's no third section in this song, if that makes sense. You've got the verse, the intro and the verse are basically the same, musically, broadly. And then you've got the B section, but that section kind of sort of forms a pre-chorus for a chorus that doesn't exist. I just use the "You Would Love This Song" line as a kind of a refrain rather than a chorus. And then when I got to the end of the second one, I was like, right, middle section time, here we go. But then actually just going to the octave up. And then I started going la 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 da da, and I was like, well, what if that was Lee? What if I went, I put in something about him singing along. You would have even sung along, da 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 da. So there's no really middle section because that's just the riff again, and then it just goes back to the slightly modified B section at the end. So it's an unusually section light song. Which I think one of the things that makes it feel so concise, which I think is probably ultimately what led to me choosing to make it start the album. Yeah, it's just decisive, does one thing. Anyway, there you go, that is a bit of info, which I'm sure you found fascinating about the song You Would Have Loved This Song. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, share it with everybody that you know. The song is obviously on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, and all places. And you can buy it on CD, go to ricneale.com. Thanks a lot, bye!